Sup, this is Greggatron. I hope you like my shirt. It says NPC, non-playable character. That's me from World of Warcraft. It's a joke. My friend got me this shirt. It was a gift. Alright, so this video is about something that I talked about a long time ago. 11 years ago, I was 21 years old. I talked about this. And it got a lot of hatred, a lot of backlash, but I gotta talk about this again. So the video was called Women Stop with Weave. And I saw something so ridiculous today. I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck? I gotta talk about this again. So I was out and about, and I see this girl. I guarantee you she was a teenager. I'm 100% sure it was a teen. It was a young black Ute. Her weave is actually touching the floor. And I'm looking around like, does anybody else see this? But people are like walking past her as if there's nothing wrong. I'm like, what? Her weave was dragging, so when she would walk, it looked like a broom was like sweeping the floor. It was like her hair was a street sweeper. I'm like, that's not good. Because now your hair's going to get all dirty, and I'm just thinking this. I don't talk to people a lot of time because, you know, people can be crazy. But I'm just thinking, if your hair is touching the floor is dirty, there could be asbestos or anything in the floor. That means when you go to bed at night, you could be getting all that dirt in your bed. You're sleeping in the dirt. I'm like, wait a minute. How did her parents let her leave the house like that? And on top of that, how did her parents let her leave the beauty salon like that, or the hairstylist, or whatever? How was she able to leave the establishment and get in the car and go on about her way? And neither her mom nor dad nor big sister or big brother, uncle, aunt, no family member said, "Child, what are you doing?" My nephew, he's 4, and I always play with him. I say, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" But not one family member said to this girl, "What are you doing? You can't walk up and down where you're going with hair that..." I promise you, it wasn't just like touching the floor. It was like dragging on the floor. I'm like, nah. I was like, come on now. Y'all going too far with this. Like, this was bad when I was in school, but now it's really bad. I remember when I was a kid. First of all, let me say this. Weave is supposed to be convincing to where the viewer doesn't know it's weave or a wig. We, the viewer, we should know the difference. That's how smooth and convincing it should be. And I got proof. I got the receipts for this. So when I was a kid, I was in first grade, and my classmate came to school one day, and she had weave. And me and all the other kids, we surround this girl like, "What's that? What's that?" And she said, "It's weave." And we're like, "What? That's so cool." You know, we're kids. And we're like trying to touch her hair and play with it and stuff. But it actually looked nice because it looked just like her real hair. It was just these little twists. And they went down to probably her shoulder or something like that. But it looked dang near identical. Identical to her actual hair. So to us, it just looked like her hair grew overnight. Because, you know, we're kids. We don't know the difference. Well, then, fast forward, my point to that story is it was convincing. Fast forward, I'm in middle school now, right? And there's this boy and this girl who they were like not really dating, but they acted like it. But they would always play fight with each other. So one day they got a little bit too rough with one another, and she did something to tick him off. And then he ended up snatching her wig off of her head and he threw it. I think we're outside in recess. But it's like everybody around them like erupted. Not because he snatched it off, but we reacted because we didn't know she was wearing a wig. And I think she had a hat on her head that day. But I had no clue she had a wig on her head because she already kind of had short hair and the wig was short. So I'm like, wow, I would have never guessed in a million years that was a wig. Because it was convincing. I'm going somewhere with this, all right? It was convincing, people. Well, then fast forward again. I was in high school and I'm in my math class. And we hear a ruckus outside the classroom. Like, what the heck? Well, then my teacher, she stops teaching. She's like, what's all that commotion out there? She's like, hold on, kids. I'll be right back. Let me see what's going on out here. So she goes into the hallway and comes back inside. She's like, does anybody know whose wig this is? Or whose weave this is? And the whole classroom just erupts. We're all laughing. Because my teacher, low-key, was like a comedian. I think now that she's retired, she could be a comedian. Because she was really good at impersonations and she's just real funny all around. So shout out to my old math teacher. But even then it was like, the fact that it was on the floor, it was a joke. Because someone had lost it. Well, now it's so bad where it's not convincing at all. It's like, my old boss used to say, Greg, it looks like there's a ball of yarn in her hair. I'm like, jeez. But this looked even worse than a ball of yarn. It's so bad now. Ladies, you gotta stop this. When I was a kid, my grandma wore a wig, but I didn't know it was a wig because that's how I saw her when I was growing up. Whenever we saw her, she was wearing it. So, and it was, short little, So we just thought that was her hair. Or I did as a kid. And my great-grandma was the same way. They both wore one, but it was short, like a hat. Well, individually, on 2 different occasions, my great-grandma, she took her wig off one time because it was, bedtime. And my grandma, she did the same thing. And on both occasions, I'm freaking out in my head like, this is a wig? What? She has braids on underneath? Because back then it was so convincing. You didn't know the difference. It was subtle. It was small. No one cared. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't in your face. Today, the weave, and they don't even wear wigs. Well, they do wear wigs. They glue them now to their heads. But the weaves and the wigs today, they're just out of control. They go past the buttocks. I mean, it's just crazy. And here's the thing. I can't tell a girl this in person and she'll listen to me. Like, if you're going to wear weaves and wigs that long, there's nothing me or any family member or friend, there's nothing we can say to change her mind. Because if she's already in the mindset that she's going to get this to this degree, her mind is already made up. It's like a tattoo or anything else. Like, that's why I'm only talking about this on my channel, because I know how women are, and they're not gonna listen to me. So if she left the house like that, let's say she's a teenager, and if her parents didn't correct her, what makes you think I'm gonna correct her? Or if it's a lady in her 20s and 30s, if her boyfriend or husband or whoever didn't correct her by now, what makes you think yours truly is gonna correct her? It's out of control. Like, believe it or not, ladies, and I love my black ladies. I say now I'm not black because growing up, people would say, "You're not black." So I kind of like accepted that. But for communication purposes, I have brown skin. I love my black sisters. Alright? Because in the last video I made about this, people were like, "You hate black women." And the black ladies were like, "Why do you care what we're doing?" And all this stuff. My point is, I love my black sisters. So with that said, sisters, black men don't like all that. That's too much. Men like natural beauty. We love natural beauty, all right? See, social media has gotten people real messed up. Social media has created a universe that doesn't allow women to tap into their natural beauty anymore. So, like, natural beauty used to be a thing back in the day, right? And I blame BET too. But thanks to BET and these music videos and especially social media, Instagram, that's a big one. Instagram and these sites have created a twilight zone to where women feel they have to do this. They really think that this is what men like. But we don't. Like, you think because celebrities like the Kardashians and others, they carry on like this. But even those celebrities, they're not real. And they're millionaires, if not billionaires. But social media got people really messed up. And I think it has done a great disservice to these young black women. I see women with not only the fake hair, but they got the fingernails, like Lady Deathstrike. I remember when I was a kid, my sister got those fake nails. And my big brother was like, "You look like Lady Deathstrike." And she's like, "Who's Lady Deathstrike?" But they be having the fake nails. And then they got the eyelashes too. I was working with this lady years back, and she came to work with the fake eyelashes. And somebody in my department, or it might have been my boss, said, "Greg, it looks like there was hands reaching out." There was hands reaching out of her face. I'm like, and I can't even like dispute it. The makeup is out of control, the hair, the nails, the what else? The lipstick. It's like, if you're going that far out of your way to make yourself look fake, that means you're fake on the outside. That's one thing. But if you're doing that much to make yourself fake, doesn't that mean you're fake on the inside? Think about it. You're faking it till you make it, right? But you're not just faking the outside. You're only faking the outside because that means you must be fake to some degree on the inside. What do y'all think about that? It's like, it's a universe of deception. It is. And they really think that people want this. Social media did a tragedy. Because it's like now women can't even revert back to being natural. It's like, let's say there's a bodybuilder who's on steroids for 30 years. You know how hard it is for that guy to not be on steroids? Or like alcohol or sex or weed or, adult videos. Imagine doing that, what's the word I'm thinking of? It could be one of the 7 deadly sins. Imagine, I can't think of the word. Imagine doing that thing for that long and now you're trying to stop. It's going to be extremely hard to stop because you've been doing it for so long. What's that thing called? Vice. Yeah, that vice or whatever it is. So my thing is, they can't even like revert to not having the wig and the weave because it's been so sensationalized. It's been, not only has it been accepted, but it's been worshipped by these Cardi B's and Nicki Minaj's and the new one, she's Sexy Red. Don't get me started on her. But the culture is so jacked up, the culture is so corrupt that we as a people, we have accepted it as an everyday norm and worshiped it and praised it. So now that it's normal, they wouldn't know what to do without the weave and the wig. Like, let's say, for example, Thanos snapped his fingers and made it to where there's no more makeup, no more weave, no more wig. Like, they would lose their mind. They wouldn't know what to do because their image is so important to them. Their ego and their image is like one and the same. So when you get rid of the image, the ego kind of goes with it because they go hand in hand. They wouldn't know what to do without it because they're so used to having it. It's like trying to get a tattoo removed from your body. That's how ingrained this mindset is. That's deep. Super deep. And what's the end goal here? Like, are you going to fake it till you make it so far to the point of no return? And people say, Greg, just mind your business. If it ain't got nothing to do with you, right? And why you always talking about people? I'm looking at it at like a psychological standpoint. Like, yeah, the weave and stuff is an outer thing, but it's only happening because of what's going on in here. And there's some beautiful women out there who can rock some beautiful weaves. I'm talking about the stuff that's like so out of control, it just looks like this is ridiculous. Come on now. Come on now. I love you ladies, but you gotta stop it. Just cut it out. Cut the crap. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where this ends. I think the only way it would end is if these ladies' fathers and or husbands said, dear or sweetheart, honey, you gotta stop it. That's not normal. It's not right. Think about this. If God wanted you to have hair that long, God would have gave you hair to be that long. Like Rapunzel. Not everybody's meant to have Rapunzel's hair. Well, then, to play devil's advocate, what they're going to say in my comments is, well, you like to lift weights. That's not natural for you to be that big. That's not the same thing. Me being physically healthy, that just means I want to live for a long time. I'm not faking the weights till I make it. Or they say things like, well, you get your hair cut. That's not natural. Why don't you just let your hair grow out? That's not the same thing either. Or one of the arguments was like, well, you wear contacts and you wear glasses. That's not natural. You're doing something. You're obtaining something from the outside so you can see. You're faking it till you make it, Greg. You're faking it. That ain't the same thing either. I wear glasses and contacts so I can see, so I can drive, so I don't kill people on the road. That's a safety. That's a safety deal. But the arguments, the counter arguments, the rebuttals, the disputes are always out of control when it comes to these type of videos. Because I know what I'm saying makes sense, but they just hate to hear the truth from a good gentleman like myself. They hate it. But I think something inside will kind of click, say, well, you know what? I don't like what he's saying, but I kind of see where he's coming from. My point is, the whole purpose of this video is to say, I don't care if you wear weave, just make it convincing. Just don't go so far with it. Stay in control. Don't go out of control. Stay within your limits. It's like, let's say you are 600 pounds, right? And then the next day I see you and you're only 150 pounds. I know dang well you did not just walk on the treadmill and eat right overnight. No, you had that surgery. Just be honest with yourself. You know it ain't natural. You know it ain't right. You know it's out of control. Same thing with the weight loss thing. Be reasonable. Be honest with yourself. Be reasonable. And it's a shame that I even have to say in this video, I love my black sisters. And I only say that in the video because if I don't say those words, women in the comment section, they'll be like, you hate black women. You hate us. Even though nowhere in this video did I say I hate you. I don't hate anybody. I just had to talk about it because it's just so crazy. Please, ladies. And I always grew up thinking like the black woman was like the most beautiful creature on the planet. Because physically she is. She's got the shape, the curves, the good skin, all that good stuff. The good features, the cheekbones. I love that stuff. But all those beautiful features, it gets thrown out the window when you have hair like that. Because it's like, oh, her body's great. But what's going on up here with all this and all the nails and you know that stuff is expensive. I wonder how much that stuff costs. Don't even get me started on the cost. That's a different video. I had enough of this. I'll talk to y'all later. All right, peace.